Hi and welcome everyone to the weekly astrological preview for the October 14, 2019 week. Quick general overview of the background influences for this week is we have this one major influence that has to do with Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. This will continue into 2020 and has to do with major geopolitical shifts, changes in the status of various countries, country leaders passing away, maybe changing in the status of entities within countries, as well as increased accidents, especially related to earthquakes, collapses of older structures, buildings, tunnels, bridges, etc. Another sort of a new this week influence is specific for the US, and that will be in place for October 14th through about October 26th, with a special emphasis on the 18th through 21st. And that has to do with expansion and or changes related to military or sports or various issues related to, say, weapons or gambling or making some aggressive or risky activities. And at the same time, this will be related to international locations, foreign relations, legal issues, tariffs, long-distance transportation, etc. So perhaps expansion into other countries in terms of military or weapons sales. At the same time, there may be some conflict regarding laws or trying to maybe improve or increase transportation or shipments of, say, various products somewhere. But then again, there's a problem with local law, or there's a problem with international regulations of those shipments. The expansion may somehow not go as well as planned, or is done through kind of a riskier method than usual because of excessive optimism. And again, that optimism may, in this case, kind of play this role where the moves are too aggressive, or something may need to be pulled back subsequently, because right now things are kind of overextended, something is overpromised. And then there are two ongoing background influences that are in place through November 5th or so for both China and US. And some of the important dates upcoming for the US are October 21st through 24th. And for China, it's 17th through 20th, and then also 24th through 27th. This will have to do with increased focus on partnerships, negotiations. For US, also focus on finance, banks, leadership, like changes in leadership, appointment of new leaders, or leaders somehow coming up and becoming famous for something, as well as again, legal issues, laws, immigration, judges, long distance travel and shipments. And for China, at the same time, there's also going to be increased focus not only on the international relations, but also banks, finance, and the need to address maybe some infrastructure problems or restructure something. Some pressure, some either manipulation where the country is manipulated, or country manipulates basically to achieve something, or dealing with accidents, soil erosion, problems with mining or something that's underground, or experiencing, again, increased earthquake or something that basically requires increased attention to, like I said, infrastructure or repairing something. And it could be in response to an issue, or it could be a preventative measure. So moving right along onto individual days a week, I believe the market overall will be going up, and Thursday is one day that I was kind of hesitated slightly, and ultimately decided it will be a down day, about 55% chance. And towards the end of the week, there will be some news, I believe, especially on the Friday, maybe Thursday evening into Friday, that are important for both China and US, because both of those countries have important aspects coming up, kind of transits in both of their charts at the same time. So back to Monday, an up day, and pre-open or early in the morning, there may be increased news about the various partnership agreements, negotiations, with focus on some sort of a power struggle between partners. But again, one partner maybe is manipulating the other, engaging in some underhanded behaviors, pressure, hidden agendas, so something is not quite being played, openly. And alternatively, discussions may focus on like nuclear power, nuclear weapons, mining, spying, terrorism, recycling, and some sort of state secrets. And for China on Monday, there may be increased news about military partnerships and sort of any deals or arrangements that involve nuclear power, mining, as well as weapons, sports, and solar energy. On Tuesday, again, market up, slight 55% chance, so not super sure of that, but I think overall looks like an up day. For China, Tuesday, October 15th, there may be increased announcements about, again, international deals or investments, and in particular related to oil, navy, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, drugs, water sources, beverages, and cleaning up of the pollution, perhaps recycling as well. So some issue at this point may be clarified, or position, the country's position on that issue may be clarified, or some necessary action may be defined. So something that previously was unclear or vague, or the country wasn't sure what the position is, or it wasn't necessarily letting other countries know, this time on Tuesday it may actually become a little bit more clear. On Wednesday, the probability of market going up, I give it about 55 to 60%. For China, yet again, some important transits. On Wednesday, there may be increased communication with partners and or news about various agreements or negotiations involving, yet again, weapons, especially nuclear weapons, and energy in general. So previously it was solar power. This time it could be any sort of energy, any power plants, but especially nuclear power plants, as well as either negotiations with partners or programs that intend to fight terrorism, or are involved in spying, address taxes, tariffs, and recycling, or pollution, for example. Dealing with pollution. So on Thursday, as I said, about 55% that the market chance that the market will go down, and the down influence is stronger in the morning, just because it looks like there might be initially some hesitations as far as, or concerns about agreements or deals. I'm guessing it's between China and US, whether things will fall in place. However, towards the end of the day, and especially into Friday, I think the news will be positive, and so either later on Thursday and then into Friday, I think market will go up, and I think there will be some increased news, like I said, Thursday afternoon into Friday, about some agreements reached between US and China, and I think it will most likely bring positive news, and the market may go up due to that. Either way, for US, October 17th, Thursday, looks like there may be increased news about partnerships, agreements, as well as investments, taxes, tariffs, and earnings of the communication and transportation companies. And these news for the communication transportation companies in particular may be slightly negative, like maybe there's some decisions of the leadership of the either US itself or some large corporations, related to these businesses, communication, transportation, that maybe they'll be seen as problematic, those decisions, and or there may be some announcements of problems with resources, taxes, or contracts. There may also be disagreements about the countries or corporate leaders regarding partnerships and contracts, and the reason for the disagreements will likely be differences in opinion on whether or not these deals, that would be reached, especially on the country level, would increase U.S. status in the world arena. So basically problems with like leadership not agreeing on something, or problems as far as whoever are the decision makers not really seeing eye to eye as to what would it mean for U.S. and whether a deal or agreement would improve its status, or if we're talking specifically for communication transportation companies, it would also be disagreement about whether or not who should be the leader, disagreement among the leaders, or disagreement whether or not, say, a company wants to be a leader in its market, and whether or not a particular decision that's being discussed at that time for that company would make it, a leader or not. And for China, 17th and 18th, so Thursday, Friday, are also very important dates, and particularly there may be increased communication with partners or news about agreements involving finance, earnings, real estate, food production, and farming, and or homeland security, for example. So something that affects it domestically or affects its banks and finance, some security issues, security of the savings, security of the real estate assets, and some deals may be reached at that time and reached amicably through diplomatic means. Friday, I think the market may go up about 65% chance, and either way, whether it's going up or down, I believe it will be a day where we will see larger than usual moves in the market, regardless of the direction. And either way, there will be lots of news and discussions with focus on international relations, laws, immigration, various agreements, long-distance transportation, communication, tariffs, etc. And the news, I think, again, will be positive, such as about successful agreement among various international partners or regarding some international laws. So obviously China and US come to mind, but also anything that relates to, say, international transportation, especially overseas, or movement of people over long distances across borders. There may be some agreements reached at that time, and most likely it would be reached in some sort of a mutually positive manner. For US, October 18th may also bring positive news about leaders, earnings, financials, solar power, and or workforce, or perhaps healthcare. So there might be positive news also about some sort of resolution of some legal issues that affect investments or foreign relations, and long-distance transportation and shipment. So something may be decided where these issues in those areas may be kind of allowed to move forward positively. And a quick glance into the upcoming weeks, October 25th through 27th, especially October 26th, look like fairly tense days. There may be increased probability of earthquakes, accidents, disasters, violent protests, military tensions, and stronger than usual market moves. And these same days also, that's globally, and these same dates also correspond to fairly significant transits to the China chart, and so it's possible that there might be some increased events at this time, tense events related to China and US relations. And then one more prediction, it's for October 26th through November 4, especially October 26th, 27th, and then November 2nd and 4th, that there may be again increased probability of earthquakes, disasters, mudslides, volcano eruptions, building collapses, various accidents, explosions, protests, fires, and all kinds of disasters, especially those involving dark, hidden locations such as mines or something that's underground, basements, mountains, nuclear power plants, recycling plants, potentially some violent acts involving, acts of terrorism, cyber attacks, and things of that nature. And those may be accompanied by either blackouts, of loss of power, blackouts of services, such as, loss of electricity and social media sites experiencing some outages, or some cloud services, experiencing some problems. And there may also be increased focus on, yet again, agreements, tariffs, contracts, and those may particularly be related to steel, minerals, mining, nuclear power, like coal, recycling, some metals and minerals in general, and or contracts that are long-term, something that's moving slowly. At this point, there may be some sort of a shake-up on that, or something that's been in place a long time may suddenly be, disrupted. And there may be tension surrounding these areas, and or availability of such resources may somehow be restricted. So maybe it's an embargo, or maybe they cannot be shipped because, again, there's this, super high tariff on steel or something like that. And it could be either, like I said, artificially imposed shortage, or indeed there could be some sort of a disruptive event like an attack, explosion, accident, earthquake, etc., that may somehow affect availability of these resources. And there may also be increased geopolitical tensions, protests, especially against governments, or perhaps mining companies, or nuclear power companies, or against nuclear weapons, as well as deaths of or attacks on governmental or some important corporate leaders, as well as reshuffling among leaders of countries or corporations. So some tense days coming up later in October and into early November. So I hope I wasn't talking too fast, and hope you enjoyed this and are having a fantastic week, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.